Hi, I'm Renarta Clanton Moyd. I'm a communications specialist with the Cumberland County Schools and your host of Get Connected. During this monthly show, we highlight numerous educational topics that face today's student, educator, and parent in the Cumberland County Schools. Now, more and more non-English speaking students are becoming a part of the United States public school system each day. The Cumberland County Schools is no exception. Educators in the English as a Second Language, or ESL program, work daily to help these students and their families adjust to the expectations of today's classroom. Now, we'll discuss what's being done to help the students with this transition on this edition of Get Connected.
Imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read. 'Cause every kid across the nation deserves a book to read, and we can make it happen right now. No, I don't know what you've been told, but kids with books learn so much more. So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child. So let's join hands, book people unite, unearth hidden passion. Come on, have a good time. Seeds of inspiration to motivate some magic, to change the writing on the wall, writing on the wall. And make a difference. One book can inspire a child. One book can be the first thing that helps to change a life. People unite.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of Get Connected. We're talking with Cumberland County Schools English as a Second Language, or ESL coordinator, Deborah Wilkes, and the program's Immigrant Parent Liaison, Alexander Gonzalez. Now, we're talking about the efforts to help transition non-English speaking students into the school system. Deborah, Alex, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for the invite.
It's just a pleasure having you all here, and this is the first time you all have been here with us, right?
That's right, yes.
Oh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. Now, I'll be easy. We'll go gentle. We'll be gentle. But explain to our viewers exactly what ESL is all about.
Okay, well, English as a Second Language is the program that we have in Cumberland County Schools. It's a federally mandated program that serves students who demonstrate a lack of proficiency in the English language. So we evaluate students when they come in. We have certain criteria that we evaluate them with. And if they show a need of the English language, then we provide intensive English language services for those students.
And about how many students do you serve at this point?
We have about 1,060 students in our district.
And what languages are some of these young people, what are their native languages?
The majority are Spanish speaking. I would say about 75–80% of our students are Spanish second, their first language is Spanish, that's our second language in the district. But then we have another 43 languages.
That's correct.
43 languages?
83 languages.
83 languages?
From 43 different countries.
Like, give me just a sprinkling of the other 83.
Chuckanese.
Okay, now what is Chuckanese?
It's from one of the islands in the Pacific.
Really?
Micronesian island.
Oh,
language.
okay. Give me another one.
We have Pashto,
okay.
Arabic, Korean, Vietnamese. We have some of the African languages, the Igbo, and a huge array, French, Portuguese.
Italian?
Yeah. Yeah, we have a real wide range of languages.
And I would think with us being here at this particular place, in a military post, that we would probably have quite a few students transitioning into.
Yes.
That's good.
And our population is constantly flowing.
Okay.
We do obviously have our static group, but for example, we always, when our students come into the district, we have to evaluate them, as I said, for their language needs. And we are doing that the whole year through. It isn't like at the beginning of the school year or after the winter break. It seems to be constantly throughout the school year, which tells us that our students are constantly moving in and out of the district.
That's good. Now, as the coordinator, you kind of coordinate all of this.
Right.
I guess that's the name, coordinator.
Yes.
Okay, but now as the immigrant parent liaison.
That is correct.
What do you do exactly, Alex?
I am that bridge between the families and the school.
Okay.
So if they have any needs, I'm the man for that. And also, there's another person with us, Myra Black. So there's two of us that actually do this job in Cumberland County Schools. So we get phone calls from all kind of needs. I need winter coats, for example, last winter. Or my child is in need of a computer. Can you help us out? And so we look at our resources, see what we can do. So that's pretty much what we do. For example, if they need social services, whether it's social services within the school district or social services out in the community. So that's what we do.
That's good. So you're almost like a social worker of some degree.
Practically, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, and
disguised.
And you were saying, and I think I cut you off though, you connect your families with services.
That's correct.
That's good.
And they provide workshops for parents too.
Yes.
You know, coming from a different place, we don't always understand the procedures and policies and how schools function in a school district. And so our parent liaisons act as, again, that bridge, that helping hand to the families to understand, you know, how to enroll a student in school, how to have a parent conference. This is what a report card looks like. And, you know, just those everyday things that we take for granted as native English speakers sort of from here who used to know understanding the system better. So
Basically, how to navigate the system. And also to teach the parents that they play a vital role in the child's education. I've been in many meetings where the parents are looking at the teachers like, okay, you tell me what I have to do, but the teachers are asking the parents, what suggestions do you have for us? And the parents look at me like, why am I suggesting to the parents? So we have to teach and train the parents that in here in our country, the education is not only comes from the school or the parents, from the teachers, but it also comes from the parents' point of view. They have to put their 2 cents.
Collaborate.
Collaborate.
Yeah.
That's
it's
the
a
key
different
word.
culture.
Exactly.
It's, you know,
it's
people
different.
come from different places, and that intervention and the assistance of the families at home as part of the child's education occurs on different levels in different places.
That's good. Well, that's good that your program is a resource for the family. And you know, it's something, I remember having a conversation once where I heard where when you have students who are non-English speakers, they should not be discouraged from speaking their native tongue. They
That's
should
right.
do that,
Definitely.
but at the same time still try to, you know, embrace the English language.
That's correct.
That's good.
We do encourage that because at the end of the day, your native language is your native language. That's part of who you are. It's your person. I mean, it's you. You take that away and transplant it for something else, you lose a piece of your identity. So we highly encourage that the students maintain their native language. And research shows us that in language studies, that if you have one solid, strong language, be it your native language, those skills, when you learn another language, just transfer over. If you can read in one language, you can read in all languages.
Ah,
It's just the actual meaning of the words in the language that obviously you've got to learn.
you're
But the
embracing.
skill of reading, you can read in any language.
There
You can do it
are
in one.
parents that they say, well, I don't speak English. How can I help my child? I said, well, you speak Spanish or Korean or whatever language. Teach them, read them the stories in your own language, and then ask the basic questions, the who, what, when, where, what if questions. And then that way, the child will be able to transition that into the English. And if they could get bilingual books that are in both languages, then it'll help them even transition it even easier for them.
that's good. Now, Deborah, you mentioned this a little earlier, but exactly how do you all identify students?
Yeah, good question. Well, every child in North Carolina, when they enroll, regardless of their background, their parents are asked to fill out a language survey.
Okay.
And you just ask them basic questions of what language is spoken at home, what's the child's first language, and in many cases it's going to be English. But in some cases, some families may write another language other than English on the card because it may be what's spoken at home, the child, he or herself speaks that language, etc. Well, if on that language survey there is another language represented other than English, that card is then sent to our office, the
Okay.
ESL office.
Okay.
And we, through calling the parents, investigating and so forth, we determine whether the child should be evaluated for English language proficiency. And if the case is yes, then we evaluate the child with a state mandated test that we have. And then the child is determined to be what we call LEP, Limited English Proficient, or not.
Okay.
And if the child is limited English proficient, according to our criteria that the State Education Department sets for us, then that child will be part of our ESL program.
Okay, so now when the child is a part of your program, do you all send people from your program out to the schools and they bring the students out of their regular classrooms, or how does it work?
Right. For the most part, we are a pull-out program in that in elementary schools, for example, we have our ESL teachers. We have our 23 ESL teachers who go out to the schools, and they will pull students out from their regular classroom during a designated time of the day, and the child will receive intensive English language services. It's language related to the content areas that they're studying. So if they're doing a topic in social studies, we don't teach social studies, but we help the child acquire the language they will need to be successful in the subject of social studies and so forth, science, math, language arts. At the high school and middle school levels, obviously they are in a scheduled class, because then we go into class
exactly.
periods. So in some parts we're pull out for the most part because our biggest population is in the elementary schools, but also at the high schools and middle school there is a scheduled period of class period that they take as an elective.
Okay. And you said there are 23?
23 teachers.
And we have what, 1,060 students? Okay, how
That's
does that?
correct.
Explain this math to me.
Yeah,
How
it's one
does
of
this
the biggest
work?
challenges we have. We have a total, we actually go out to 86 different schools. My 23 teachers roam the district on a weekly basis, and we serve children in 86 different schools. So being an ESL teacher here in Cumberland County is very challenging, in that you have multiple schools to serve. On average, our teachers go out between 3 to 5 schools a week, and they go to them multiple times a week. So they may go to 4 schools, 2 or 3 times a week. So just imagine the rotation of those 4 schools 2 or 3 times a week. So it is very challenging. The numbers are small relatively. I mean, you're not going to get a big class of 25 students, but we are required by law to serve every single child. So we do have to go out to a school that could be very, very far away, and there are only 2 students in the school, but we're still required to go out there. And there's the driving time and going out there and serving the child, meeting with the teachers and forming that community with the teachers. So
That is a lot of work.
It's just different challenges.
Yes, yes. And I would think that these particular teachers, they speak a lot of different languages?
The majority, we have mostly Spanish speakers.
That's correct.
We have teachers who don't speak any other language. To be an ESL professional, you do not need to speak another language because we teach English. We don't teach another language.
Okay, duh. Okay, my mind is thinking, oh, okay, well,
But I understand. It makes sense. It does help
in order
sometimes.
to communicate with the child.
Right, but it's not a requirement because we do teach the English language in a very sort of outgoing, very hands-on approach. So with using our ESL strategies. So we try and limit, even if we can speak the child's native language, we try and limit it as much as possible. And really it's for those emergency communication situations that may occur. We have Korean speakers, we have German speakers, we have French. But you see it's only a little handful of languages compared to how many we have in the district.
Exactly. Okay, well, what we're going to do, Deborah and Alex, we're going to take a break, okay?
Okay.
All right. Don't go anywhere. Hang around for more Get Connected.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. erasing dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again now.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Alright. Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of Get Connected. Our guests are Cumberland County Schools English as a Second Language Coordinator, Deborah Wilkes, and the program's Immigrant Parent Liaison, Alexander Gonzalez. Now, we're talking about efforts to help transition non-English speaking students into the school system. Now, Deborah and Alex, I know this program serving 1,060 students, 23 ESL teachers, it's pretty daunting task, I'm sure, to be able to evaluate the students, get them into the program, offer the services, as well as help the families, you know, or be a resource to the families. But talk to us about some of the challenges as a whole that your program faces. And then I want to hear from you, Alex, about the challenges you face as an immigrant parent liaison.
Well, as a coordinator, you know, my job is just to make sure that with the resources we have, we most effectively and efficiently meet the needs of our population that we serve. The challenge is that, first of all, limited resources, but also just the scope of our program. You know, neighboring districts may have the same number of students, the same number of ESL teachers, but they have a much smaller number of schools and a much smaller county school system. Whereas we, with 23 teachers, serve 86 schools, and that is our biggest challenge. So to be able to use the services we have efficiently across 86 schools is my biggest challenge. And every school is important as the other. And if there's a child there that we serve, then they have that importance. So just, you somewhat have to spread yourself very thinly at times, and I wish I just could be everything for everybody and, you know, and do, you know, provide all the services as best we can for everybody, but sometimes we have to make priorities. Yeah, prioritize, that's a good point. Alex?
The challenges that we face is being able to reach out and communicate with them. These folks come here to work. They're not, you know, they're not sitting at home because they won the lotto or something like that. So they work. So we have to get programs that meet their needs, and at the time when they can come in, whether it's after hours, after 5:30, whether it's during the lunch hour, whatever time the parents are available, we have to try to set up our training and classes for them. But the hardest part really is trying to communicate with them and get a hold of them so that they could participate and we could help out their children. Also, I tell the parents when they call me, first of all, I don't have a magic wand or an endless bag full of money.
Straight.
I get it. That's the first I tell. I don't have a magic wand or a bag full of money, so I can't help you with neither one of those. But anything else, please ask. And if it's within our capability, within the resources that we have available, we definitely will help them out and connect them and plug them with the right people so that they can get their needs taken care of.
That's good. That is so good, yeah. And sometimes it's good to just kind of put those things out on the table first, and then people understand why you're there, your purpose. So that's a good thing. Now, you have quite a few, and Deborah mentioned that earlier, different workshops planned. What's the content of some of your workshops?
Active parenting is one of the more popular ones that we started these. We started one in January, and then we will continue. We have continued with these in the month of March, providing one in Spanish during the daytime, and then we also provided one in the evening during the month of March. So that's one of the more popular classes that we have.
In active parenting, what's the content?
It's classes on how to deal and how to work with your children.
Okay, got it.
Whether it's to get them to study, issues with drug, alcohol, and sex. So these topics, disciplining the child, that's the first, that's like the topic number 3. And on day 1, when do we discipline the children? You know, it says, no, that's lesson number 3. We have to go first, one step at a time. Right. So those are the things, that's the more popular one. We've teamed up with local banks to also provide classes, financial planning and classes with the parents. We are also envisioning having some type of a health fair to help the parents. So any classes that the parents, we survey their parents, and whatever they want, we will train them. If they need information on immigration or ESL classes for adults, we work with local colleges for that.
That's great.
And we're very encompassing.
Yes, that
and,
is.
and we sometimes, we only work for the school system, let's say, but sometimes we are very often the person in the community in our department that is the connection for that family, period. It's not just the schools. We sort of reach out to them as the parent of an ESL student. However, we then become really a guide for that person and to help them navigate being in a new country.
Yeah.
So our services and the way we work with families is very encompassing.
We get all kind of requests. We had a lady one day, she called me up, I'm having issues because I'm told I have to get rid of my dogs. I said, okay, no problem, but what's going on? Well, the manager, she has, a bunch of dogs. Well, she's the manager, you're not the manager. So all I could tell you is I can't get involved with this particular issue, but please go over your lease, and depending on what you sign, that's the only advice I could give you. So I get all kind of requests, all kind of things that people come up with. I need an attorney, or, okay, well, this is the phone book. Let's look for one for you. What do you need it for? So we get all sorts of requests.
Do you all ever see a need where you would like the community, if people in the community have resources or information available, to give you all a call and say,
definitely.
hey, we've got this available?
We're keeping a database actually in the office through different needs that have arisen, and we're sort of going out and researching, connecting with people. We're keeping a database in our office of such services, so if a family comes in, we can pick up the phone and help them, contact. We've recently been dealing with a homeless family who currently is still in the shelter with 2 children. And just through phone calls and reaching out to people, we were able to connect with a lot of different resources.
Correct.
And you see, they come to us because we are the bridge again, but the connection to overcome the language barrier. Because this particular homeless family is a mother with 2 children who is Spanish speaking and very limited English. So they came to us and said, hey, can you help us? And from there, it just blossomed really into all these different services we're trying to
and we
set
learn
the family up with.
As we connect, we also learn, one family needed eyeglasses for their child. Well, is the child has Medicaid, oh yes, but it's been less than a year. So what I would call these local social worker for the school where the child is at, and then some of these social workers have some connections, and they're able to help and provide glasses, for example, if that's what they needed. At the beginning of the school year, one of the things that we do is we have a meeting with as many parents as possible, and then we bring in the local police, local fire marshal, and also to have them give them some training and some safety tips, both at home and at work. So we connect with other folks in the community. We bring them on board. So we welcome anyone out there who has any resources. Please call us, reach out to us.
Now, you said call us. Give us a telephone number.
Okay, 910-484-1176.
Repeat it again for us.
910-484-1176. That's our ESL office.
All right. Now, you know what? Just shifting gears, we want to talk about something, the individualized service plan. What is that? Because we hear about this, but don't really know what it is. So tell us about.
Okay. Well, every child who is identified as limited English proficient, that's according to the assessment they take for language proficiency. Well, we are required by state law and policy to provide an individualized service plan, which is an educational plan. We call it our LEP plan, Limited English Proficient Plan, to sort of give teachers and the school ideas of how to work with this child given the child's language barrier.
Okay.
There are sort of instructional strategies, descriptors of what the child can do given the language deficiencies, what you can expect this child to be proficient in or be able to perform individually or with help, and so forth. And it also gives some guidelines of when it comes to state assessment, the end of grade assessments and so forth, what the student can be expected to do, to be able to perform on, and what sort of accommodations we can provide for that student during this testing.
That's good. Now, is there ever a time when a student kind of not phases out, but ends up graduating from the program, so to speak?
That's correct.
Yes. Every spring, we have to reassess students for their language proficiency. That's according to state law. And so it's a new evaluation of their language proficiency, and according to the score that they get on those different sub-tests, because there are 4 tests that they have to take, they will be given a score, and according to that score, they either exit the program or they'll continue with us another school year. So they can exit the program when they reach a particular level in different skills.
Okay, okay. And you know what I saw in some information, WIDA standards, what are those?
They are they're the actual instructional standards that we follow in North Carolina, and they all come from a consortium of states that's called the WIDA Consortium.
Okay.
And they provide our curriculum and instruction and our instructional standards, as well as the assessments we give the students when they initially come to us in the district, and every year. Those assessments also come from the consortium, the WIDA Consortium.
Okay. It amazes me, all the acronyms.
Oh, I know.
It's like, but that's okay. We understand what WIDA is now. But now, with all that you do, are there some efforts that you all are undertaking now to move your program to that next level?
We've got quite a few things in the works. We have 2 big things that are happening. One of them is actually we're doing a program, an instructional program for teachers, for educators in the system, to become better prepared to meet the needs of English language learners. We're calling it our ESL training badge, and we're offering that to teachers so that they can then perhaps come licensed in serving ESL populations in the future. So we're excited about that across the board. And also we're up and running with our International Resource and Registration Center, where students are coming directly to us when they register, and we can help the families out and assess them there and then, and not run all over the district to find them.
We want to make it a one-stop shop for them.
Yeah.
All right. That's
So we've
good.
got a lot of things happening.
All right. Any last words regarding the wonderful ESL program in the Cumberland County Schools?
We have fabulous teachers. They work very hard. And they really deserve a lot of respect for all the the activities that they have to do on a daily basis, just running from one place to the other and keeping up with everybody, and this kid's there and this family's there and this teacher's there, and then we have all our staff in the office, our support staff now. We have 2 parent liaisons and so forth, and then our administrators in the district that are supporting everything we do. So we're
definitely.
very thankful for that.
Well, that's good. Well, I know I look forward as a member of communications, look forward to receiving more information about all the wonderful things you all are doing, so we can make sure we get that information out to the public.
you.
And I just wish you the very best with the program, okay?
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you again, Deborah. Thank you, Alex. All right. Well, on behalf of the Cumberland County School System, we want to thank you for tuning in for this edition of our show and for giving us a chance to help you get connected. Until next time.